Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Pyong.
Welcome to the Hustleshare podcast. My name is Ronster, and I'm your host for this very, very new podcast that we have. Obviously, as you can see with the name, what we do in Hustleshare is very straightforward and very simple. What we want to be able to do is showcase how people do their hustle in their own unique way. But by being unique, it's also identifying what bonds us all together, what makes us very similar in terms of how we can learn and how actually we can adapt and put whatever other people are doing into our own daily hustle. So why are we doing this? It's very straightforward. I've been on my grind. Just a little bit of background about me. I'm a startup entrepreneur. I'm a two-time startup entrepreneur. My first startup was called Party File. I did that for a good 8 years. Unfortunately, that one failed. And a lot of what I learned through that startup, obviously I'm going to share a lot of that in this podcast as in the next couple of episodes. I was able to gather and look back and put that into account until the next one that I did, which is Chatbot Philippines, which is as most of you know, the people that I know that are currently listening to this, is my new startup that recently got acquired by the Sterling Paper group of companies. So why am I doing this, right? I mean, what now? Or am I doing something different, whatnot? No. I think finally, after years or more than over a decade of hustling and failures and whatnot, I finally have a story to tell. And by having a story to tell, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be talking the whole time here. What I want to be able to do is pay it forward. Just like what my mentor first told me when I started on this journey, I want to be able to pay it forward by showcasing how people hustle in their own unique way. And hopefully, with you guys listening on the other side of the world, you'd be able to learn a thing or two about how people do their own, grinds and journeys and whatnot, so that we can improve our own way. The objective is to show that we're very similar, because what I do, say as an entrepreneur, as a tech entrepreneur, isn't that far out if you come to think of it with, say, a street vendor. Heck, they probably even work harder than I do. What we want to be able to do here is open up those opportunities for people to snap out of their current comfort zones and adapt little things that they can put in their own life. So who are we going to feature in this show? We're not just going to sensationalize who's popular out there. At least in the first episode, first season, I'm going to stay close to home. I'm going to be inviting people that are in the tech industry here in the Philippines or people that I know. But as we go along the next few seasons and whatnot, we're going to be as no holds bar as possible. Which reminds me, I wanted to give you a quick disclaimer about how the contents of the next couple of podcasts, there's going to be cussing involved. So if you're not comfortable with that, I apologize, but you may also, turn on or switch the station or channel to something different, because we're going to keep it real. And by doing that, we want to make sure that we humanize and we make sure that we don't just talk about the triumphs that people go through, but we also talk about the struggles that people have gone through in their own life. So by doing that, we're going to be talking to any type of professional or any type of entrepreneur, as long as you're a leader. You don't have, success is relative, right? So you don't have to be successful in other people's eyes. What's interesting here in Hustleshare is that we want to feature the unsung heroes, the people that make society great as the way we know it, and we just don't give them credit. I'm not here to toot their own horn or just put people down, what we want to be able to show is appreciate the type of dedication, the type of hustle, the grind, and all things in between that they put out in order to contribute to what we have now, and showcase the motivation and everything else in between that they have to go through that. So how are we gonna do that? This show will revolve around three core functionalities or key three factors that we have. First one, what we want to be able to do is provide understanding. By providing understanding, that means we're going to be talking about the difficult things. We're going to be asking questions that you don't usually see in a press release or a proper blog. Because again, like what I said, this is going to be no holds barred, and we want to be as raw as possible. So the questions that we want to ask are going to be questions that normal people don't usually ask, in order for us to fully understand how a certain hustle or a certain individual hustles through their daily grind. Second would be empathy. We're not here again to differentiate how hustles are. What we want to be able to do is showcase how similar they are to your own personal hustle. So we're going to be able to identify key things with our guests and whatnot, so that we can show other people that, hey, you know what, a hustle of a surgeon, like for example, a hustle of a surgeon is very similar to a hustle of a librarian. The preparation behind and whatnot. That's what we want to be able to do, so that people will learn a thing or two and adapt it into their own game. And lastly, for those people that know me, if you're listening now, you know how it's going to be. I'm going to be doing a lot of stupid shit. So I hope that it makes it fun. The last thing I want to do is, if you're listening to this podcast, is I want to fucking bore you out. That's not how we want to do it. We want to keep it raw, the way I, at least on a personal note, talk. And we want to make sure that it's very lively and engaging. And most of all, again, like what I said, very informative for you. And lastly, this podcast will also feature a lot of tips. We're not just going to talk about the journeys. Of course, that's important for you to know more and have a personal connection of those people that we interview here, but also tips on how can you literally put that into work. Because it's easy to talk about things, but if you don't really act on something, and if you don't really put that into your own grind, then it's not really useful, correct? So what we want to be able to do is provide that avenue to literally put it on a list or whatever that's going to help you with your own grind. So again, that's pretty much how we're going to be doing everything here in Hustleshare. And welcome to the podcast, and we look forward to hearing from you and suggesting how we're going to do this. Now, first things first, before we end this podcast, please do, if you want to get an update as early as now how we're going to do things, please do visit us. Visit, it's not visit. What the fuck is visit? Please do visit us in our key channels. So first things first, is going to be available on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other podcast apps. Second is, we do have a website. If you want to see the show notes of how we want to break down everything that we talked about in every show, please do visit hustleshare.com. And lastly, what we want to be able to do is, if you want to get updates or talk to us, we have a chat bot. So please just do visit us at m.me// what the fuck is / hustle share. All right, that's pretty much it. And we look forward to hearing from you. And we hope that this is going to be a long, beautiful journey with you guys. And welcome again to Hustleshare. Peace.